Have you ever had this feeling that everyone else seems to have been handed this instruction manual for life, where they get the step by step by step by step processes of what to do when to achieve this, and then this process to achieve that? And they go through and they tick it all off. And I'm still standing at the letterbox waiting for mine to arrive. Does that resonate for you? Well, for years, decades actually, that's exactly how I felt. And I wasn't trying to rebel or trying to be different or anything like that. I just couldn't see myself in the boxes that everyone else seemed to fit so effortlessly and comfortably into. I felt like I was a jigsaw puzzle that had three knobs and a swish at the one end. And so, and the jigsaw that I had been paired with only had one little knob. And I was like, how do I fit in here? It doesn't work. It's not my thing. And for a very long time, for decades, I thought that there must be something wrong with me. Not because I was broken, but because I couldn't explain why I felt different, and I didn't have the language. So I didn't know how to change that box. And so in the beginning, for years, the questions that I asked was, well, what's wrong with me? And then that didn't kind of feel like the right question. It morphed into, well, how do I get to that right box? Who's in that box? What does it look like? And because I had this real disconnect of my internal world and my external world were two very different things, I ended up asking the wrong questions and listening in the wrong echo chambers and trying to find other places to listen. But that didn't happen until I came into the burlesque world. Now, when I started making friends, I've been in burlesque about 5 years, and I've been through that initial glamour change and stuff like that. So my external world felt quite stable now, but there was still something that just wasn't right with my internal world. And I remember there was one of those gorgeous discourses that happen in the burlesque community where, well, these people contribute their different views on the topic that we're currently discussing and things. Now, some of these are a pile-on, yes, and I'm acknowledging that, and I acknowledge that there is harm produced because of that. However, can I just say that in my experience, in this version, it changed my life. Now, I can't remember who put up that post, and I can't remember what the comment was. There's been 4 brain injuries since then, and a pandemic. However, it changed my life because I learned a term that then opened up a whole world for me, and all of a sudden I was getting into rooms where there was people like me. And from the first moment that I heard that and started learning, like my nervous system went, yes, ping, 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 ping. It was fantastic. My outside finally matched my inside. And like it lit my whole body up. It was amazing. And I'm getting emotional again. I then got the opportunity to travel to Burlesque in Seattle and Washington in the United States. And if you ever get the chance to go, please do. No, it's just such a a beautiful space. It really is. And whoever organised the caucuses, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You literally changed my life, so thank you so much. I walked into this room of the non-binary caucus, and there were people that, when I heard their story, it felt like me, and I was like, wow, these are my people. And it was a really overwhelming moment. But it gave me something to understand where I needed to go and the spaces I needed to seek when I came back to Aotearoa, New Zealand. And when I was thinking about reflecting on my journey and thinking about today being International Non-Binaries People's Day, and thinking about that moment where my inside matched my outside, what I realised was that this is not just about gender. And that I hear it, every new cohort that comes into Sparkleforce. Women say, I've lost myself, I don't feel like me, I used to, and then be able to insert descriptors there. They're not trying to become someone new, and I wasn't trying to become someone new. I was trying to understand myself and to reconnect with myself. And so when I thought back to how Sparkleforce started and what has become important to me and why Sparkleforce exists, it boils down to that core belief of that I believe every person deserves to feel like themselves again. People aren't broken. They're just exceptionally adapted. They have a painful experience. The behaviours that get them through that painful experience then keep them safe, and safety feels good. And so then they adapt some more, and all of a sudden they're way off over here, and they've lost their connection to their self. So survival isn't identity. And so we have this International Non-Binary People's Day. Why do we need it? Well, two of the things that I found just made my blood run cold. First of all, there was a study in the University of Waikato where 77% of trans and non-binary participants reported a very high or a high or very high psychological distress. Imagine that, high or very high psychological distress. Can't get any higher than that. That's nearly 80% of people in this study. Now, this is 6 times the rate that's seen in the general population. So it's a huge amount. That's scary. That is terrifying. There was another study, a workplace study in 2024. So we're talking about 2 years ago, not 1924, 2 years ago. 59% of those participants of non-binary employees reported experiencing discrimination and harassment at work. And 50% had left the job because of how they were treated. Imagine that, having to leave the job that you may have loved, but because the harassment or the discrimination was so bad, you felt so unsafe, you couldn't do your job, so you had to leave. That's why we need International Non-Binary People's Day. And so today I'm celebrating my fellow non-binary people. I'm celebrating the beautiful, radiant authenticity that people have when they're when they have that congruency. I'm running out of words now. And the other group of people that I'm celebrating today are people who have stepped outside of their expectations in their world. So it could be family expectations. It could be workplace expectations, gender expectations, career expectations, creativity, or expectations about a body, or expectations of how you use your voice. So, because those people who are stepping outside of that expectations, who are of cisgender, are our allies. And thank you. Thank you for speaking up in the rooms when we're not there and when we're being misgendered. So thank you. If there's one thing that I'd love for you to take away today, it's this: that you don't have to become someone else to live a fuller life. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is to stop trying to squeeze ourselves into other people's boxes, because you do deserve to feel like yourself again, always. So, until next time, keep your sequins sparkling, your synapses connecting, and the shenanigans rolling. If we haven't met before, kia ora, I'm Crystal Mischief, and this has been my very first Sequins, Synapses and Shenanigans. See you later.